Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Eagles Don't Hunt Flies, the show all about the life and career of that man, John Moxley, only on the Poison Run network. And I'm your host, Martin Bushby, and joining me is Dickie Bird. Dickie, Kiauri, how's it going, mate? How are you this month?
This month, yeah, good. I'm not sick right now. I think this is the first episode that we've recorded where I'm not have some disease from my son at daycare. So you could say that that's a win. I'm sure it'll change next week, but perfect.
Yeah, that's a definite win. How are you feeling about going live for the first time? I know we've had we went 5 minutes later than normal. Brandon's not here yet, standard, but it's. I think if this goes well, this could be sort of a monthly thing for us, couldn't it?
Well, I think I think it's about time that you made it to the 21st century, Martin. Welcome to because. I mean, I guess this is kind of what all the kids are doing. But I mean, for me, I thought it was a great idea because at least, what usually happens is we would all record around this time anyway. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here for me. But because it wasn't live, we'd fuck around a bit, we'd talk a bit of shit. And then like after about, 10 minutes, then we'd be like, should we get going? Should we record the show? And I thought, it'd be good going live because it means that we would actually, do the show at the top of the hour. Of course, I didn't anticipate the fact that a certain individual would delay us to the point where none of that matters. We still ended up starting pretty much the same time.
I've noticed though, if I do, I'll need to sort all this background out. Very boring. Need to sort my lighting out. I look like the palest motherfucker alive, but I suppose here we are. But before we get into the main crux of the show, obviously a lot of things going on with Chopped Teas this month. What's been going on?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lovely little ad read here. So I've been listening to MCU Later with WH Park and Rich Fan, and I'm so impressed by Rich that he does his own Chopped Teas ad reads that apparently he has experience doing from the PW Torch with Wade Keller. So I thought, you know what? Instead of us like waiting to the end and then sometimes forgetting, we'll just kick it off. I'll just do one, and I've written one here. So today's episode of Eagles Don't Hunt Flies is brought to you by Chopped Teas. While John Moxley is the purveyor of violence, Chopped Teas is the purveyor of fine threads. High-quality apparel from your favorite podcasters in pop culture, post-wrestling, WrestleNomics, Poison Rana, and more. Chopped Teas ships fast, and they ship free if you live in the US, Canada, UK, EU, Australia, and New Zealand. And right now, Chopped Teas is releasing new merch every week for spring and heading into summer. So make sure you follow Chopped Teas on X and on Instagram at chopped_teas, or, Martin, if you want 10% off your next order, head over to chopped-teas.com/welcome and tell us who your favorite brands are for your unique 10% off code that you can use, check out for anything. No minimum spend. You can grab a new Flex Fit hat that we just released today with a load of brands on them, or you can wait till next week when there'll be another drop of merch. So yeah, and a few new Eagles Don't Hunt Flies pieces of merch coming. Yes. So by this time next month, there'll be some stuff. So just follow, like I said, follow the socials or grab a code, and you'll be notified when those things appear.
That's fantastic. I mean, you do so many discounts on like Chopped Teas and stuff like that. How do you even make any money off this stuff? I mean, there are discounts galore on there. You're basically giving this stuff away.
Well, we rip people off, so I can totally no. We're a startup company, so I don't expect the company to make any money in the next 2 years. So you invest what company, and so that's just it. Like, I don't want to talk about trade secrets and stuff like that, but I mean, there's reasons that you do everything, even if it means at the end of the day you're making less or nothing off a sale. But we also believe in our product and our customer experience as well. Genuinely, there's not a sell. So I don't think people really believe us when we say, like, if you buy a shirt from us, you might actually just get it like 3 days later. And a lot of the time,
the shipping on it is so quick.
Yeah, and so a lot of the time we just want people to experience this, and then they'll be like, "Holy shit, I'll come back later," sort of thing. So,
And I do believe Mr. Brandon from New Jersey has joined us, gracing us with his presence. Hey, what's up? Here he is, the big man.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, man. It's been a long week, but yeah. So I don't really use my laptop, so it took me a very long time to get on here, but I'm here.
Looking good, mate. Is that a Minnesota top you're wearing?
He's getting ready for WrestleMania next year. Oh shit!
Oh yeah.
You got bad news for you.
So I got this off of Damon Kemp like 5 years ago by his real name through a DM. He was selling his old stuff, so I wanted a hoodie, and it looked like a cool hoodie, so I bought it off him for a cheap price.
Nice. Who's Damon Kemp?
It's probably best you didn't get it off his brother. It may have been some.
I don't want the stench of the rape charge all over the city.
And we're live.
Yeah, you wanted to go live, man. Not me. You can't edit this. There's no turning back, Martin. Hey, Martin, are you have you heard of Davey Portman's impression of you yet?
No, I've not heard it yet.
Oh, really?
You should seek it out. It's pretty uncanny, like the X-Men.
Where can I find it?
I don't know. Ask him to call you on WhatsApp.
You get get a live version of it. Talk to yourself through Messenger.
Anyway, so enough of all the pleasantries, because obviously we are on episode 8 of Eagles Don't Hunt Flies, and on the show this month, as it says on the banner, it's going to be all about Jon Moxley in New Japan, part 1, where we're going to be looking at Moxley's first months over in Japan. This isn't going to run concurrent, so part 2 is going to be down the line and maybe not the next episode. But before we get into that, obviously on last month's show, we predicted Moxley was going to have his big win, and he did in fact beat Naito for the IWGP heavyweight title at Windy City Riot. He then subsequently appeared on Dynamite and cut a killer promo and has defended the title against Powerhouse Hobbs on Dynamite and then against Ren Narita at Night 2 of Wrestling Don Taku. And Brandon, thoughts on the match with Naito and Mox winning the title? A bit of controversy from some sets of New Japan fans. He's not going to be there defending the title all the time. And, Powerhouse Hobbs was the first challenger, a bit of controversy around that. But like my old friend James, he said, I feel like Mox is doing them a favor. The title is beneath him at this point. Umino saying that New Japan isn't AEW's feeder. Mox is going to elevate all them guys by working with them, and eventually losing the title to one of them. So, he's doing New Japan a favor here, isn't he, right?
He's doing them a solid, right?
Exactly.
Wait, I got a question. Is it Ren Narita or Ren Narrative?
I've always said Ren Narita.
Because I've heard a different saying, Ren Narrative. I don't know if that's the proper way to say it. Anyway, but I think it's weird. I mean, yeah, he's elevating the belt and he's elevating the guys he's facing in New Japan. But I don't know. I feel like New Japan's getting big brothered by the Moxley title defense and having these random title matches on Dynamite. What does New Japan gain by these title defenses? It's nothing. And do people even watch the show in Japan? Like, I don't know. these are my questions. I have concerns about that. I don't think it's cool, but I think hey, it's good for Moxley, so I got no qualms for him. But I don't know if it's really going to help everybody else out, but or the company.
What about you, Dickie? Where do you stand on it, and what did you think to the Naito match?
Well, I mean, I think it's very clear that Tetsuya Naito subscribes to the Kazuchika Okada way of doing business, which is I'm not putting any of these fucking young kids over. So someone else has to, apparently. He loses. I mean, to your point, like, is anybody watching these shows in Japan? I think that's why they had Naito drop the title in America, because no one in Japan watched. And yeah.
This is
oh my god, I can see when Brandon wants to talk now. This is amazing. Okay, yeah. Go on.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but is this like akin to when Liger lost to Uvi?
The red guy?
What's that?
The red guy?
Yeah, the red guy. When he got hit in the head with the tequila bottle. I mean, when he had the belt, I mean, it's not going to happen like that with Moxley. And I mean, they have proper booking. Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, he's not going to get booked like that. But was it like that back then with New Japan and WCW? I know New Japan was pissed off with when that went down and whatnot with the Russo booking. But yeah, I don't know. I thought the match was good and whatnot with Naito, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, New Japan's in the mud right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I would say AEW isn't having the best time either. To me, there's a clear distinction. I feel that there's like a clear distinction between things that happen on AEW's shows, kind of like AEW's business, and then things that happen on New Japan shows, New Japan's business. And I mean, kind of like we see this with Okada and Danielson. We see it with Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. Like it's like, I'll let you beat me on your show as long as you let me beat you on my show, and then everyone's happy, even though because either half isn't watching the other. I don't think it's like WCW and New Japan though, because I don't know, like there wasn't mutual respect in that relationship that I feel that there is here. Both companies are down. It's not like one is holding themselves over the other. If I'm New Japan, do I question taking the title off Naito when he's a big draw in Japan with the title? Yeah. But Geto's showing that he doesn't give a fuck about Naito. I'm almost certain that the person booking New Japan is actually Davey Portman and not Tetsuya and not Geto, because of the hatred that this man seems to have with Naito. Kenta beat him up after his big win, which, man, were you at that show? Was that the show that you were at where Naito
I was,
won?
yeah, the Wrestle Kingdom,
okay.
yeah.
And then and so ruining the party, and then he got through that, but then lost to Evil, lost the championship to Evil and Bertha.
Fucking Evil.
Yeah, see, the man, he's not, there's not going to be anything good that comes out of a Naito title run, even if he's very good anyway, because it's just, Geto just hates him, so.
And plus, he's pretty washed up now, isn't he? Naito. You could see in that match, he was in a lot of pain and stuff like that.
His knees are being held together by bubblegum, hopes, and dreams.
Yeah, he needs to head to Brazil or wherever Rey Mysterio went.
He needs those stem cells.
He does. He does.
Him and Chris Ely.
So, anyway, on to the episode proper, and we are going
what
back
are your thoughts?
I said my thoughts. I feel like Mox is doing them a favor by having the title. Because I mean, what else are they going to do? He's going to face all these young boys, and sort of like, make them look better, even if he's beating them up all the time. But, and eventually lose it to, I'm assuming, Shota Umino and sort of make him. Surely that's the idea. So I don't understand why everyone's getting their knickers in a twist about it, because there was one defense on Dynamite to fucking Powerhouse Hobbs. Big deal.
Do you trust Canada's booking to get there?
Hold on a second, Martin, because we're almost mirroring our last episode, because Jon Moxley is facing Shota Umino in, I guess, 2 days, 1 day, whatever it is, tomorrow. This time tomorrow, pretty much, right? So are we expecting him to lose the title? I'm not.
No, I don't mean tomorrow. I mean sort of like he takes the loss here, but then in a couple of months' time, maybe.
But I guess more just we wanted to do our predictions because, again, we're recording before a big US show with Jon Moxley. And so, I mean, I'm saying that, yeah, he'll definitely retain. Now, my next question is, how far are we going with this? Is Moxley going to be in the G1? Because the champion is always in the G1.
No, I can't see him being in the G1.
So he's going to drop it before then?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps it till after the G1.
Wow.
But he won't be in the G1, is that what you're saying?
No.
Interesting. That's interesting.
I know the champion is normally in the G1, but, they're flying by the seat of their pants now, aren't they? So
yeah, I know. All bets are off. Just whatever. Yeah. Who gives a shit? As Brandon says, no one watching anyway. So
I mean, the internet of New Japan fans will explode at that point if he's still the champion and he's not in the G1. But anyway, so on to the actual episode.
Do you want me to say something?
Because we're going back to 2019, Brandon. We're enough of this modern shit now, because we're on about Mox leaving WWE and joining New Japan and some of his notable matches in the G1, because you need to cast your mind back to May 3rd, 2019, and New Japan dropped a teaser video with someone sat at a bar wearing a leather jacket, scraping a symbol into a bar with a knife. With
you do that every time at a bar, don't you?
Oh yeah, big time. I love
this was an English pub by the looks of it, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Did you do the thing with the hand with a knife, like go through all your fingers? Like, what's that game called?
I know what you mean, but no, because I'm not an idiot. I never did that. I like having all my fingers. Thank you. Well, anyway, Juice Robinson footage is also playing on a TV in the bar. And I wanted to ask you guys before, obviously we know it's Mox now, but I remember when this teaser actually dropped, because obviously in hindsight, it's clearly Moxley. But I remember there were tons of speculation at the time, because wasn't there a British flag or a Union Jack or whatever on the leather jacket? Everyone was speculating, who is it, Chris Brooks? Is it this person? Is it that person? I was looking at old news articles and hardly anyone was predicting it was Moxley, but Dickie, it feels kind of obvious that it was always going to be Jon Moxley, wasn't it?
No.
No,
not for me, because it. If anyone remembers our first episode of Eagles Don't Hunt Flies,
Dallas, right?
I mean, it could have been, and I would have said that that's probably more obvious than Dean Ambrose. I mean, so I guess timelines here are very interesting, because from what I'm trying to, I believe the series of vignettes happened before, it started happening before Moxley turned up in Double or Nothing. So there was a bit of weird crossover, even though Moxley would then turn up at Double or Nothing before he went to New Japan. But I mean, there's no way. Everyone knows from the first episode of Eagles Don't Hunt Flies, like, I watched this man decline. The first time I saw him was against Kevin Owens in that last man standing match at that Royal Rumble. And from that point, he just became, it was just oversaturated. He wasn't doing the things that I thought you would do as somebody on the ascent, even though they put the title on him, but it was kind of a joke because Roman got popped for a wellness violation. So he was just like a backup and all this sort of stuff. Like I thought he would have, and at the time that, like in our first episode, I would have told you, it would have been like Dolph Ziggler leaving WWE, and what do you think is going to happen with him? Now, of course, since that first episode, Dolph Ziggler has left WWE, and what happened? He went to New Japan, but not the same. Not the same happened with Moxley. I guess my point is more that I did not foresee this man wanting, after doing the WWE style for so long, being not even wanting, but I guess being seen by others, even in New Japan, as someone who they would put a bit of steam behind. I mean, yeah, maybe he'd come in for a shot here or there or something, but they put a lot of effort into this. And I was, very shocked. I remember just being like, oh, okay. That's weird though, because he's not going to win. So, but that was my feelings at the time.
I'm quite surprised to hear that, because we'd already had Nick Mondo helped make the New Japan video, and he already made this Prison Break one with Moxley, and I always thought they were like kind of similar in the way they were filmed and stuff like that. So, I mean, was it a surprise to you, Brandon, when it was revealed as Mox? Did you think it was going to be Wolfgang or something like that?
I didn't put the Nick Mondo connection together, by the way. It's not over my head. Yes, in retrospect, you probably figured it out.
Who was the big guy in TNA, the big British bodybuilder guy?
Magnus.
No, I know who he means. I can't remember what his fucking name was though. Oh shit!
I thought it was him.
Yeah, or Joel Redman or somebody.
Terry Boulder. What are we talking about? Rob Terry.
Yeah, Rob Terry. I thought it was Rob Terry.
Yeah, Rob Terry. Whatever happened to him,
brother?
Yeah, I kind of figured. I heard I saw the speculation online of that it was probably going to be him. I mean, he looked like breaking out of the jail, like he was coming out of Shawshank. It was incredible, and then he started a trend. Everybody started breaking out of prison. Now everybody wants to come back to the prison. It's just amazing how the tables have turned. But he was a trailblazer, and I thought the videos were on point, and they were dope. I mean, this was the era of the era. Stupid. I mean, it was 2019. It wasn't like it's not like a decade ago or something like that. It
feels like it was a decade ago.
It does. Time does fly. But no, I mean, I thought it was cool. It was fresh. It was different than any guy getting out of the Fed, literally and figuratively, and going somewhere else, like besides with Cody eventually and whatnot. But this was different. This was fresh, and it was badass. It was cool, and how it's worked out, and it's working out. I thought it was dope.
You've had a brilliant idea there. He could, if he ever does go back to WWE, he could have a Nick Mondo video with him breaking back into prison or whatever, or like breaking into Alcatraz or something.
Or he could just commit a crime and get locked up.
Well, and they have the police cam footage. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Exactly. And then they show
everyone else in that company is going to be in prison anyway, right? So it kind of makes sense.
They'll be rubbing shoulders with corporate officer number one, won't they, in his jail cell?
Oh, here we go.
Anyway, so obviously it was Moxley, and he made his debut. It was around the time he also made his debut for AEW at the end of Double or Nothing on May the 25th, and then it was revealed that he signed a multi-year deal, but also allowed him to wrestle for other promotions. And a couple of days after Double or Nothing, it was revealed that he was the man behind the Time's Up video, and he was challenging Juice Robinson at the Best of the Super Juniors final on June the 5th. And in a recent interview with Sports Illustrated, Mox has revealed that he did sign a contract with New Japan before he signed with AEW, and that there was an icy relationship between AEW and New Japan. He thought he was going to have to pick one or the other, but said, fuck it, I'm going to try and do both. And now they have a good relationship. And so he also noted that he had hopes. He hopes that he had a role for facilitating that good relationship now. I mean, thoughts on that interview, Dickie? I mean, very interesting that it seems not only Mox but Jericho work for both companies, help sort of like bridge that gap between New Japan and AEW. And, you know, perhaps New Japan regret it now since AEW have essentially been big brothering them, you know, for the past year or so.
Fucking painmaker.
Yeah, I guess the difference with this one is that, like, yeah, I'm just trying to think with the Jericho stuff. The Jericho stuff didn't seem quite the same because it really kind of seemed like a per appearance, just the big show type of things. Like Jericho's not, and I don't mean Paul White, by the way. Jericho isn't doing the G1, you know. No. Jericho's not even going to do. I know. Just the thought, it's just. But he's not even going to do tours, right? Like he's just sending in video packages, and then he's going to be at, you know, a Dominion or a Tokyo Dome type of thing. And we kind of see that now with a lot of the AEW talent. But this was more of a shared thing. And like you said, like he signed the contract with New Japan first. So AEW had to be the ones that were kind of like, okay, you know, we're happy to accommodate and whatever. And they all had to work together to make sure that the schedules worked out, as opposed to, I think, you know, Jericho was just kind of easy to do because it was Dynamite's on a Wednesday and most of these shows were on the weekends. So there you go, sort of thing. So yeah, I thought it was very interesting, but also it really helps when the guy who's probably mending this relationship has a, like, fucking stop being a bunch of crybaby pussies, get over your shit that you have together. You know what I mean? Like he hates drama. So he's going to try and just eliminate it from these two. And maybe he beat up Harold Mage or something. And therefore, you know,
you never know. It wouldn't surprise me, really, if that had have happened. So on to Best of the Super Juniors and against Juice Robinson. Obviously, Mox and Juice were originally in FCW together. Mox had noted in an interview that Juice was younger than him and that Juice sort of latched onto Mox and Seth Rollins and rode around with them in Florida, you know, under the learning tree. Probably picking them up from bars and stuff like that. Well, we were just talking about Jericho, weren't we? So onto the match itself, and this is actually Mox's first match since leaving WWE. So I remember at the time there was a bit of trepidation, like, oh, what's his first match leaving WWE? He wasn't very motivated those last couple of months coming out of WWE. But here we are, June 5th. At Sumo Hall, and Mox sent us through the crowd like he did in WWE because he said that, you know, he was quite apprehensive about doing that, you know, because it's stuff that he'd done in the past, but figured it was the right thing to do anyway because he'd not really done it in Japan before. But Brandon, we have new gear here, the Mox trunks, just for New Japan. He said he wanted to change up the look. He always wrestled in jeans, and that wrestling in jeans sucks because they're hot and sweaty. I can imagine they are very hot and sweaty, but Mox in the trunks. Are you a fan of the trunks, Mox, that we get in New Japan?
Oh, big fan, man. He looked like a prime 2004 Pride FC GP fighter, and Josh Barnett in those trunks and those knee sleeves and stuff like that. He looked awesome. I mean, Juice Robinson also looked awesome too with his gear. He looked like he was rocking cross colors and a chef's hat.
He looked like he was wearing as a kid, the Bermuda shorts were like the big thing when I was a kid, and like he looked like, and I had a couple of pairs of them, and he looked like he was wearing like the trouser version of a pair of Bermuda shorts, Bermuda trousers, I suppose you could call them.
He
But,
looked like
yeah, they were all the rage.
he cut the gear from like those old school curtains back in like the 50s with the multiple colors.
Yeah, like your grandma's curtains that she hadn't had
Yeah.
changed in 40 years. Yeah.
This is like Juice Robinson walked so Seth Rollins could run. What the fuck was this entrance gear? He looked like he was wearing sunglasses like Geordie from fucking Star Trek. And yeah, but I'll tell you what, for as busted as I thought he looked, especially in his entrance, when he gets wrestling and stuff, like it's not that offensive, but his entrance was like, geez, the man's music, his babyface music, just perfect. I appreciate this version of Juice Robinson marginally better than the last time that we've seen him on TV.
With his NXT haircut.
Wow,
are we fans of Juice then? Hit or miss for me, really. I mean, I was a bit when they first announced this match, I was like, huh? But yeah, obviously we'll get into the match later. But you were a fan of Juice Robinson, Brandon?
Not then. And I wasn't a fan of his when he came to AEW, but he grew on me with the Bang Bang Gang stuff before he got hurt and disappeared. I thought and cardboard Jay White. I thought he was starting to find his groove. I'm like you. He is hit or miss for me also.
And before we actually get into the match, Japanese or English commentary, Dickie? What's your preference when you're watching the New Japan match?
Well, yeah, not now. If I watch New Japan 2024, no offense, Walker Stewart, but even before Walker, like Kevin Kelly fell off. During this time, though, I didn't have a problem. I thought Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero at this time was a pretty good pairing. I thought Kevin Kelly was on his game. The pandemic obviously changed the man, as it has done to many people. But at this time, I would say, in 2019, I would say English commentary. They do have some really good points. Some of the stuff that I'll bring up that they've said. But like Kevin Kelly, I think at one point says, he brings up a really good point. He's like, John Moxley, you can't prepare for the man. You can watch like the last 10 years of tape if you want, but that's not the same person. This is this is the John Moxley that he wants to be. So you can't prepare for him. The person that you would prepare for doesn't exist anymore. And, stuff like that is like really, really good and interesting. It's also fun to listen to them do G1 math on the air as well, which, I wouldn't probably get with the Japanese commentary. Brandon, keep your camera up, yeah? Not down on the eyes on the prize. But yeah, I would do that. But nowadays it's Japanese commentary if I watch New Japan, which I don't really.
For me, I mean, obviously getting stuff from tape traders and stuff in the 90s, it was all Japanese commentary, so I kind of have the nostalgia for that. What about you, Brandon? Do you like a bit of Kevin Kelly, or are you more sort of like the Japanese guys?
This year, Kevin Kelly was 2019. He was solid. He was fine. He was cromulent. But if I was feeling motivated to watch a New Japan show again, I would probably watch it in Japanese.
Yeah, same.
Anyway, you feel the energy and more of the passion with the Japanese than with Walker Stewart.
Especially with the way they say Moxley's name, like Moxley, and so they do get a lot more into it. Yeah, a lot more animated when they're talking about the wrestlers. Yeah, but
sounds like a grindcore band when they chant Moxley.
Because he does get a great reception from the fans here, don't they? They love his entrance through the crowd. Everyone's sort of screaming for him, and I couldn't remember. I remember like watching this match, obviously, but I couldn't remember sort of like whether I liked it or not. But I loved this. I mean, it starts super quick. They're brawling all over the crowd. Mox is throwing young boys and officials around. Juice does a sick dive from the top of a fire escape. We sort of like come into the main story of the start of the match is Juice's unbreakable skin. I swear to God, Mox bites him multiple times and he's just wailing on him with punches to the forehead, and Juice just won't give up any juice. I mean, until finally about 10 minutes in, he starts, to bleed a bit from his forehead, and Mox makes himself familiar with the Japanese unbreakable tables. He tries hitting Juice with a chair-assisted elbow from the apron, and he sort of looks shocked when the table doesn't break. He does finally break it with a suplex. Juice even power bombs him through one. We even got Mox doing a Bret Hart figure four, around the bottom of the turnbuckle. Juice is fantastic at selling sort of like Mox's offense. Takes a sick lariat off him, and Mox wins with the Death Rider. Great fun watching this match. Mox is super motivated with it being his first match out of WWE, and the crowd's well into it here, Brandon.
Oh yeah, man, you could feel the energy, especially when they were brawling in the crowd. Like they were totally into the caricature of John Moxley, this badass, kick-ass monster, just giving it 110% in this match. He's not mailing it in or taking the paycheck. He's really going for the gusto in this match, and Juice felt like really elevated in this match too. Also, so it was pretty cool.
Don't feel like 20 minutes, but I feel like it flies by, Dickie, even though it is a 20-minute match.
Well, yeah, no, it was just all go from the start. But I've seen this match a lot. He used quite a bit of it in the video for Eagles Don't Hunt Flies that I put together as well. So it's quite fresh in my mind, but it takes me sometimes like a few times to watch something and kind of notice some things that they obviously thought about, or at least John Moxley thought about, and I really appreciate things like, this is his first, I don't want to say it's his first match, because I think his first match was against Joey Janela at Fight Forever, or at Fight for the Fallen or something after Double or Nothing. But this is his first big proper match. And what I appreciated was, it's the end of the match. So John Moxley's going to go for his finisher, the Dirty Deeds, right? The double underarm DDT that he's used in WWE, to win championships and beat people. And he does it to Juice Robinson, and Juice Robinson kicks out. And it's like, excellent. Now you're going to have to show us what your new finisher is, because, and this is establishing that he's gone, okay, that's not going to work. I'm not going to do that anymore. And then does the Death Rider, and the much more elevated kind of like it really reminds me of the Gangrel elevated DDT. Back but double underhooks, and so I like things like that. And whether it was, I think it was inadvertent, but even things like his introduction to tables, in New Japan, it's like, oh, this is a table. I know tables, I'll just do this thing and it'll just break, and it's like, didn't break. Well, now I know about real tables, and just stuff like that, just throughout the match. Just what it kind of showed me was like, it's like, here's John Moxley telling a story of him learning, as well as showing that he's a brand new person, but also learning and showing people, oh, this is what I do now, sort of thing. So I really, really loved this match. And as I mentioned before, I was completely surprised that he won. At the time, there wasn't a huge precedent for this, even though nowadays, we saw with Matt Riddle, we saw with Nick Nemeth, these people come in, immediately challenge for a title, and yes, they win it, because that's, I guess, what they do. At the time, I'm sure it's probably was done previously, but I hadn't seen it since I started watching New Japan, so I just assumed that he was just going to lose, and yeah.
See, that's absolutely wild to me because I was in no doubt that he was going to win this match and
Wait,
all
you
that
thought
title.
he was gonna job the Juice, a former WWE champion?
Yeah, the guy with the fucking gas mask on, who's fucking like
The pod plan, yeah.
having a feud with Nia Jax. Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was going to fucking lose because I didn't think anything of this guy. Obviously now, in hindsight, I mean, I'm trying to be honest with people. Like, in retrospect, yeah, of course not. Because, like, what I saw in this person leading up to this time was it was cool that he was coming into New Japan, but like mid-card guy, you know, like mid-carder, not Okada, but mid-carder, right? He, you know, I just, yeah, I mean, he could have won and stuff, I guess, but he could have lost, and then I would have just assumed he would have joined some fucking stable, and then just, I don't know, just done, and then turned up in TNA is what I thought was going to happen next, but they did. You know, it's funny because I thought he would be like, what if Dolph Ziggler left WWE? And what is amazing is what I thought Dolph Ziggler would do if he left WWE is what Dolph Ziggler ended up doing, which is mid-carder in New Japan, TNA, and that's it. So yeah, very, very surprised, but I became pleasantly surprised with absolutely everything that would happen from this point onwards in this man's career.
Yeah, well, I mean, hearing you booking Moxley's career in that way, it's obviously, yeah, it's way.
This is the
wild.
ascent, man. This is the ascent that I expected. When I saw that last man standing match with Kevin Owens at that Royal Rumble, I was expecting an ascent, not a descent. Okay, what happened in this Juice Robinson match is that ascent that I was expecting. We only went up from here, and happy about that.
We did indeed, because obviously he wins the title here.
Man, this is like you booking Mox's career is like when Dave Meltzer booked Bruiser Brody's career that one time when he said that what if Bruiser Brody didn't die in Japan and he was gonna do such and such this and this, go to ECW, have a run.
Tag team Chainsaw Charlie maybe or something.
Bruiser Brody's career.
Have you? Sorry, go on, man.
No, go on, Dickie, go on.
Well, I don't claim, and this is the thing, if anyone knows about me, like, I really don't ever claim to be any kind of, like, fantasy book or anything. Like, I don't really even, like...
It's good, though.
But this is the thing, like, I watch wrestling as a way to turn my brain off, and I want people to bring it to me. I'm not on the internet being like, they should have done this. Like, I just consume it, and if I think it's rubbish, I think it's rubbish. And if not, you know, I don't really think about it too much. So, like, I mean, I'm that guy. Like, I am the normal consumer that saw a man get beaten down in the biggest company in the world, like, really, and you know, we'll have some excerpts from the book, but if you read his book, he felt this way too. He was certain that he was damaged so much by the WWE, like he was going to come into a company and be just like no one would give a shit. And I was that person that kind of like agreed with him.
Well, luckily you proved us all wrong. But on a side note to that, have you ever heard Jim Cornette booking The Invasion? Because that, oh my God, he's got like just what Brandon said about Dave Meltzer booking fucking Bruiser Brody's career. There's like this guest booker thing where Jim Cornette books The Invasion, and I'm sure like his WrestleMania card's got like Dusty Rhodes against Hulk Hogan or something.
Oh, fuck off.
Wait. I just remembered, like, Dave, when he was booking Bruiser Brody's career, if he didn't die in Puerto Rico, he booked the match between him and The Rock in his return to WWE.
What? I need to listen to this. It
was the greatest thing ever. Dave they were just talking about that. I guess it was like the anniversary of Bruiser Brody's death or something like that. And Dave just went on like a 25-30-minute rant on fucking Bruiser Brody's career if he didn't die in Puerto Rico in the shower.
How's your territory going? Triple H says when he hears shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll
I'm
just
sorry.
play that to everybody who loves Meltzer. Anyway, back on track. So after this, Mox appears at Dominion on the 9th of June, defeating Shota Umino and declaring himself an entrant for that year's G1. And obviously, this is where the Mox and Shota relationship starts. But we're gonna put that on the back burner for a bit and talk more in depth about that in a future episode, because that could take over the whole episode. Too much to talk for one episode. And actually, Mark Raimondi was did a piece about Moxley doing the G1 for ESPN, and Mox said that obviously he was expecting it to be a grinding tour, but they'd already done horrific tours of Europe and worldwide tours in WWE, with no days off, 14 days straight, going through tables every night, and he also said, he wanted it to, he wanted to go into the G1 straight away because it's basically like a crash course in New Japan for him, doing so many matches in a short amount of time. So Moxley was in the G1. He was in Block B of the tournament. He couldn't wrestle on the first.
In New Japan, just besides studying tape, what? Just living in Japan for a month, or
you just living in Japan, wrestling in Japan, yeah.
Headbutting people in Japan.
Yep.
How to properly blade in Japan.
Using weapons on the outside. I mean, his match against Yano, which we'll talk about, I think is the real crash course in New Japan.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I can't wait to get on to
that. Hey, Falcons writer Mark Raimondi.
That's right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut you off because you told me to. Whenever I will just go to the book. There's a very, very, very small bit here, but this is this ties in with the Juice Robinson match. So we turn to Jon Moxley's autobiography, MOX. And now it's live on the screen and everyone can see that I don't have a physical copy of this book, but that's okay. I live in Australia. I'm not going to wait fucking months for it to arrive. I was delighted to hear from Rocky Romero, that the booker Ghetto wanted to bring me in before the G1 to introduce me to the audience against my old friend from FCW, Juice Robinson, at Sumo Hall. I couldn't have asked for a better first opponent, someone I knew, someone who spoke English. Also, the New Japan Pro Wrestling United States title would be on the line, so I'd be sporting a fancy new championship belt. Not too bad. My AEW debut at Double or Nothing had already happened at this point, so some of the fears and anxieties I had about life outside WWE and the audience's willingness to accept me were gone, but this was my first time actually in the ring outside WWE in 2011, and this was Japan. Would the New Japan audience know or care who I am? I couldn't picture it. What would I do? How would I walk, talk, and wrestle? I had no idea. I knew one thing, however, the most important thing, the only important thing, that getting over with the New Japan faithful live in the building was getting over with New Japan. Okay. It was weird being back in Sumo Hall, but working for a different company. I was brought to the building early, the first one. I stood atop the stands where I would enter that night and looked out at the ring, the New Japan ring. I'd seen it so many times on tape. Now I've been transported, excuse me. Now I've been transported into a different universe and I'm here. Not unlike the first time you're live on WWE Raw. You've seen it so many times on TV and now you're here. Somehow you've been transported inside the TV screen. I had reservations about how I'd be accepted in the locker room. Some big name dipshit WWE superstar coming into our house. How much are they paying him? He don't belong here. He's a joke. As the various New Japan wrestlers filed in, I introduced myself to everyone. Everyone was so cool. Zack Sabre Jr., who I haven't seen in 10 years since we last partied at a discotheque in Germany, arrived. We picked up right where we left off and shot the shit. I was calm, relaxed, remarkably calm considering the situation. There should have been a lot of pressure, but I felt none. I probably should have. If I stunk the joint out, they might change their minds about putting me in the G1. How embarrassing would that be? There's a lot of hoopla around my debuting tonight. It was a big match. If I didn't win the fans over now, I'd be toast. I looked at the lineup on second to last, following Hiroshi Tanahashi, the star equivalent to John Cena in the US. This is a hell of a situation. I can't effing picture it. Who the hell am I going to be in the ring anymore? I think maybe the John Moxley that escaped back into the world at Double or Nothing was in the final stage of battle with whatever the hell weak creature had been trying to maintain control over my consciousness. The real John Moxley would be set loose in the ring tonight in an actual wrestling match. And once that bell rang, we would reclaim control over my body for good. Maybe it's because I'd already given up everything. There was nothing to lose anymore. I'd walked away from security, from being a WWE superstar, from I don't even know how many zeros on a check. I don't know what it was, but I was fine. It felt like the eye of the storm, eerily calm. When it was time, I emerged to the top of the stands at Sumo Hall. Entering through the crowd was Rocky's idea. I was initially resistant to it because in the spirit of reinvention, I didn't want to rely on any old WWE tricks. But Rocky was right. I immediately set the tone as something different. Ooh was the sound that came from the fans as I made my way to the ring. I was feeling the crowd, feeling the music, feeling the energy, feeling myself. Juice and I immediately erupted into furious exchanges of blows. He met me at the ropes with an elbow that rang my bell. I clotheslined him over the top rope and was spinning. Great. Of all times, I hit the ropes to perform a suicide dive, praying I was running the right direction. As the match unfolded, it became an out-of-body experience. Chains and locks were popping off my body. I was aggressive. I was mean. I was loose. I was having fun. Oh, yeah. This is what I used to do all the time. John Moxley is back. He's out of jail, Brandon. And he's beating the fuck out of Juice Robinson. He's beating himself. I looked away. I'm fucking back, baby. And that was just a dry run. That was my baseline. That's what I just do. It's only going to get better from here. When I returned to the dressing room, I received a standing ovation, common in New Japan, where the boys all watch the matches and support each other. We all love this shit. I was stunned, elated, on cloud 9. Osaka Joe Hall. 3 days later, I grabbed the microphone. I bring a message from Cincinnati, Ohio. John Moxley, international purveyor of violence, gentleman, and all-round sick son of a bitch, wants in the G1. Ooh, that's right, baby. You got something to say, bitch. The guy who stood in his garage on the phone scared of the G1 doesn't exist anymore. I'm on the attack, the war path. And then it says, I return to Las Vegas to train.
Wow. That's wild to me. How, great reading there, Dickie. I think we should get you a job on Jackanory.
I'm finding my stride. Anyway, yeah.
It's wild to me, obviously, because you just come across so confident and everything. Now it's just like how, like you said, WWE beating out his confidence, and you thought he was going to go in there and everyone would be like, "Who the fuck does this guy think he is?" and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's wild here, and it's good. It's good to hear after that first match, though. He was like really found his groove and everything.
Yeah, we'll read what he says after this next match to see how he feels about himself then as well.
So yeah, he was in Block B of the tournament. What's funny is that he couldn't wrestle on the first night on July the 6th as it was in Dallas, and Mox had an exclusivity with AEW in the US at the time. So, which obviously can't be the case now because of Windy City Riot and stuff that he's appeared at. So it's weird that he he had it for that G1 in Texas, was it, or Dallas or whatever?
It fell apart during the pandemic because they were taping some stuff in the US with some of the New Japan wrestlers in the US, and it was like, and Moxley was the US champion still, and they eventually had to remove that clause in the contract. Well, they didn't have to, but I mean, they came to an agreement that he was allowed to basically wrestle Kenta. Kenta had won this tournament to wrestle for the title, but he couldn't wrestle the person because Kenta was in the US, Moxley was in the US. They couldn't get to Japan, so they had to do it, and it was just like, so eventually, yeah, that's when the agreement went away.
Right. Oh, I'd totally forgotten about all that. Yeah, that's really interesting because obviously this G1 he won 5, lost 4 with a final standing of 10 points, and obviously didn't reach the finals. It's fair to say, Brandon, I think he had a decent showing in the G1, some decent matches. Obviously, we're going to talk about the main highlights, but was that a G1 that you watched? Because I don't think we'll look, other than the matches that we're talking about here, they were the highlights of it for him, but I don't think it was like, wow, Mox had the best G1 that any foreigners ever had, sort of like over there in Japan or anything, was it?
I wasn't really following the G1 because my job was conflicting.
Come on, Brandon.
I know. I should quit. And just watch the next G1 from the match to match, bell to bell, turnbuckle to turnbuckle. I should put the ring together too. But no, I fell asleep at the wheel during. I saw the highlights.
Figuratively, you fell asleep at the wheel. Sorry, you got me a heart attack, damn it.
But no, the highlights look great. I thought he looked impressive, and yeah, I mean, he's here. He is here. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't lied and said, "Hey, man, yeah, I watched every match."
Yeah, nice.
Like a Clockwork Orange, I had my eyes like taped up and wide open, and there were eye drops on my eyeballs.
Somehow, I think you would still fucking fall asleep and snore, even if that happened.
I'd be part fish if I could sleep with my eyes open.
I thought. I agree with you, Martin, in terms of like a strong showing.
You're a psychopath.
Well, you didn't watch it. What is there to agree with? What the fuck? I agree with you, Martin, in terms of like strong showing matches wise. Like we all agree, it's the Ishii match and maybe the Shingo match. In terms of high quality, we threw the Yano match.
The Taichi match is actually pretty decent as well.
Oh well, now we're pretty much in that case, like maybe we will go back. But I think for me, it was more how strong they booked him. He went 5-0. He beat Naito. He beat this kind of, I don't want to say murderer's row because he didn't face Okada. He didn't face Will Ospreay.
He didn't murder anybody either.
Well, we have maybe Tournament of Death. We can go back maybe. But yeah, that was the more surprising thing. And I had kind of, I was not booking. I'm not the fantasy book. When I watched this at the time, I was like, is Sean Moxley going to win the G1? And remember, I just went from he's not beating Juice Robinson for the title to now me thinking, oh my God, he might actually win the G1. So I was having wild swings, and ridiculous swings. I love that I said, he wouldn't win the title from Juice. And you guys are like, are you serious? To me saying, I thought maybe he'd win the G1. And I know you didn't say it out loud, but I can hear it in your minds. You're thinking, you idiot. Why did you think that? So but this was it. I was on the roller coaster, and I thought it was wild what they did with him for the first half of this. And then it all fell off when he met the indestructible Toru Yano.
Well, it was Kota Ibushi who won that G1. So who's sort of had more longevity in the career than Moxley, or so perhaps he should have won the G1. But they did have that good story going on because he was undefeated going into the Yano match, wasn't he?
That's right.
They don't really let new guys win like G1s, do they?
No,
it's all standard guys, right? Established.
Yeah, so like I assumed that it was gonna be like, okay, he wins his first match, and then I don't know, then he faces Naito, and then it's like, he's not gonna beat Naito, and all this sort of stuff, and then it's like, oh my god, like he's won 5 in a row. It's like, so. And my point is more like I think people kind of felt this way. It was like a couple of years when Tom Lawler entered the G1, and they thought, no, he wasn't going to win. I know a few people said they thought he was going to win, but they thought it was going to be a kind of strong showing, like a good big push, and it wasn't. Like it was just
like 3 points.
He was just a body, and that's all it was. And that's kind of what I thought John Moxley would be, just a body. But they definitely helped push him further, despite not winning the whole thing.
They smartened you up.
I'd love to know which sort of like club him and Zack Sabre Jr. went to in Germany. I bet that was quite the wild ride. And Sammy Callahan will have been there as well, because that was when Mox was in WXW in Germany. So can you imagine? That's a right trio, that, isn't it? Zack Sabre Jr., John Moxley, and Sammy Callahan all
listen to Duke Hostage in the club.
Indeed.
We'll have to do a music episode part 2, which is what music does Zack Sabre Jr. and John Moxley listen to when they get together?
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, on to his match with Ishii from July 19th. This was the 6th night of the G1 in Karakan Hall. And in a change from, obviously, it's normally tour around United States with Brandon. We're making a quick detour from that because I've actually been here, Kraken, very comfortable seats. I can't pronounce it, obviously, but one of the
Seattle Kraken Hall.
One of the best places I've been to watch wrestling. I was there with the whole gang. WH Park sorted out with some tickets for the Noah show, and I had a great time. Very loud in there, very comfortable seats, and I really enjoyed it. And obviously, it's great. Walking down after, and the stairs and everything's graffitied, and and some cheeky little chappy had put a post wrestling sticker on there, so it all looked fantastic. But this match, obviously, I wasn't there live for this one, but 5 stars from Meltzer. Where we at with Ishii fandom? I feel like he's one of the wrestlers, like non-British wrestler, that I've seen the live most. Obviously, he did a load of tours with Red Pro, and I saw him every time I went over for Mania. He always seemed to be on a bunch of the Mania weekend shows, but he's always has had great G1s. He was known for these great G1s that he had, Brandon.
Oh yeah, he's the workhorse. It was cool to see him. I'd never seen him live before until recently. I mean, he's not the same guy as he used to be, but I mean, it was still a pleasure to see him work in the ring. And I reckon that he's like one back adjustment away and a neck adjustment away from like actually being normal and walking like a normal human being. Because like,
why would you want that?
It's a Stone Pitbull. He wouldn't be the Stone Pitbull then anymore, would he?
He looks like he has a calcified spinal column. I feel bad for him. Every time he walks, he looks like he's in pain.
But this is the perfect thing, right? Like, I mean, we say the same thing about Tanahashi and Naito, but with Ishii, it works for him. Like, he looks like he's made of stone and walks like he's made of stone.
Like a giant golem.
Yeah, like I was gonna say a gargoyle. I don't know about a golem, but anyway, he's a fascinating character or fascinating wrestler just because, you could have done so much more with him, but they just never wanted to push him up to that level, despite the ability to put on great matches with lesser talent. And I'm not talking about John Moxley here, but other talent. Like I kind of feel like he's he's like a version of Shingo Takagi. So basically Shingo Takagi can get a 5-star fucking match out of Aaron Hanare, right?
I thought you were going to say Aaron Hernandez.
And and people like Tamatonga and Gabe Kidd, although and elevate those people. Ishii is of the same vein, and they're also in that same category of the company also just doesn't seem to want to push them up to that level. They're in that never open weight division most of the time, and it is kind of strange. But as a who gives a fuck? Because as a fan, I'm just like, yeah, give me an Ishii match or whatever. And I think it was recently that he was actually going to, for the first time, not be in the G1. And I think there was an injury that was caused to someone. Eric will probably remind me of this. And luckily he was put back in. But he should be, it's like they're trying to retire him like Vince tried to retire, like Hogan when he was 31 or something. It was like
Randy Savage when he put him in the mic.
Yeah, like he still has the steam, but I feel like New Japan's just kind of like, time to hang it up, mate. And it's like, come on, you can get at least. I think you can get at least another 3 or 4 years out of the guy.
Maybe he was maybe he was happy that he was going to get some time off, some vacation time. Although they were probably going to make him work the undercards during these G1 shows if he wasn't in the G1. And then all of a sudden, someone gets hurt. It's like, oh fuck, I gotta work.
Well, they pay him in like just slabs of raw meat that they just throw on the ground, right? So he's got to eat.
Hey, it's funny because one of my favorite stories about Ishii being in the UK was so York Hall, where Red Pro runs, sort of like in Bethnal Green. There's a gas station round the corner from it, and someone saw Ishii like tucking into a Ginster's pasty at this gas station after the show, and I was like.
The way that you said it as well, tucking into a pasty, like, is perfect.
Bless him. He's in
if
London
you'd have said
on
just
his
eating
own.
a pastry, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, and in London on his own, bless him. He had to go to the local gas station because no one took him out for dinner. I mean,
and he's wearing his eyeglasses as well, probably, right? His spectacles.
Yeah, he probably is. Still in his gear, probably.
Was he pumping his own gas too?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we don't have that in these parts. Only America where someone else pumps your gas.
No, only in New Jersey and Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because when I went to the US, I refused to fill my car up in New Jersey because I didn't know what to do with the guy and if I had to tip him and what the fuck. So I just drove straight from Pennsylvania to New York and filled up in New York.
Oh, wow. Because you were scared of the attendant at the station.
Well, I was scared about tipping people because I forgot to do it at the hotel in Las Vegas. And the guy just stood there while I was like, brought my bag. We've talked about this before, I think. But anyway, moving on.
I love how Dickie will fight off like 5 of the world's deadliest spiders and snakes on a daily basis, but he won't.
Well, let me ask you, if you were in the forest alone, walking through the forest alone, would you rather happen upon a bear or a man? Have you not heard this?
No.
Oh, wow. This is like the big talk of the internet. And apparently bears are very upset that they're being likened to men. But yeah, I would much rather come across a snake than a Las Vegas bellhop.
I'll bear that in mind for next year. Anyway, back to the match. So crowd is well behind Ishii and they just start absolutely battering each other with forearms. And I was absolutely loving this, brawling all over the crowd. Ishii gets blasted into a wall. Mox is bullying Ishii quite a lot in the first 10 minutes, only for, the famous Ishii comeback, where he starts no-selling the forearms and everything. We even have dueling chairs with them fighting a sword fight with the chairs that they've got, get more rock hard Japanese tables with even Ishii doing a splash off the top onto
unbelievable
a table. Wait. I know, fantastic.
Wait. I love when Moxley pulls the table up from under the ring, and it's this little tiny table. And you're looking at John Moxley, he's like 6 foot. Well, he's like 6'3".
But it's like it's almost like a metaphor because it's so much tougher than the WWE tables, even though it's not as big. Yeah, like it's You know, and there was in that Juice Robinson match, he brings it out and he's like, oh, a little table. And then he tries to go through it and he's like, and then he taps on it. He's like, huh, tough.
Yeah, tough. He discovered when he went through it when Ishii jumped on him through it. So we've got some great big moments in this match. You know, great reversals, dueling headbutts, like you said earlier. Mox was learning, you know, how to headbutt people in Japan. Ishii powering through the lariats, and then we get a finishing sequence with Ishii kicking out of the Death Rider, followed by a Regal knee, and then a second Death Rider with Mox getting the win. Not quite 5 stars for me, but easily one of Mox's best matches in Japan. Also, lots of spitting in this match unintentionally when they were foreign him each other. I don't know if it was the lighting or whether it accentuated it so much in that place, but I was like, bloody hell, there's spit flying everywhere in this. But yeah, it's thoroughly enjoyable match here, Dickie.
Pre-pandemic, Martin, you could spit on anyone you wanted then, and there was no problems. There was nothing. No. There were no diseases, but in 2019.
They even named a show after spit in Japan called Glee.
No TB, no nothing. It was totally fine to just go around spitting on people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't worry about what I have to say. We're going to turn back for the final time to Mox.
There we go, full screen, Dickie.
There you go. You guys can lay out. Brandon, just be prepared for when we come back. Right,
I know, right?
Ishii and I have been beating the ever-loving hell out of each other for over 19 minutes at a breakneck pace. I've lost an incredible amount of body fluid in the summer humidity of the packed hall. My heart is beating hard. Korakuen is rocking. We've given them violence, both spectacular and revolting. Chairs and tables smashed. Bodies flying through the air, skulls smashing into each other with sickening thud. High drama. The audience can feel the contest in all its unapologetic, violent glory, and now we're building to a crescendo. I hear the timekeeper over the PA. 20 minutes gone. 20 minutes past. He wrote it like that, by the way. Shit. We're 20 minutes deep into the sumbitch. Self-assessment. I feel fine. I could go another 20. Crowd's on fire. Finally, after a blistering exchange, I dump Ishii on the top of his head with the Death Rider. He grabs his neck in abject agony. The ref counts 3. In that moment, all the grueling hours and weeks of work I did to prepare for this tournament paid off. I felt like the king of the world, unstoppable. All of those people who said I couldn't do it, whether I created them in my head or not, I've proved to them that there's no ceiling on what I can do in wrestling and in life. I didn't realize I'd have to address the crowd after the match. As it turns out, it's customary for the winner of the main event in New Japan. Boy, was I tired, hot, and beat up. But when they motioned for me to take that mic, I grabbed it and delivered a dual message from the heart to the whole world. Whether you love or hate me, for the fans in the building and all those who lifted me up, I expressed my sincere gratitude. For the doubters, for anyone who attempts to hold me down and stand in my way, well, the message has always been the same. Fuck you.
Fuck you. What a message. What a message for the kids.
Well, yeah. I mean, I read this book to my son every night before bed.
Yeah. Wow. Obviously, yeah. I mean, yeah. Sherry's passionate about the match. Thought it was a brilliant match. Yeah, definitely one of his best that he's had in Japan, Brandon.
Oh yeah, this match was physical and rugged and raw.
Now, this was the third match of his in the G1. Was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me as well, and quite rightly, he's sort of third match into G1. He's like, that's it. I've done it. I've succeeded in the G1, which I think is kind of cool. That he's not going to. It's not about doing the whole thing and looking back at it, big picture or anything like that. It's really about just having that one big moment in there to kind of hang his hat on, and then sort of the rest of it he can kind of have fun with. So yeah, I just kind of find that interesting. Like it was after this that all the negative thoughts, the demons, everything, as he mentioned in the book, which I thought was really interesting, the doubters, whether he made them up in his mind or not, which I think is really important because we all do that self-criticism kind of thing, that had gone away, and he was now just like, he'd taken the ball and now he's just going to run with it for years after this point.
Yeah, definitely. It is good to see, to hear the quotes from the book, and his confidence has gone sky high from that. And especially, I mean, you are going to, as much as they said at the start of the match that their styles don't really match, I think they do,
They're the exact same fucking person. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
When they were headbutting each other, I was like, whose head is harder here? I don't know.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And I thought, they matched off really well with each other. I mean, this is the better of the matches that they had, because obviously they had a match in AEW as well, didn't they? But this is easy. I can see why Meltzer went 5 stars in it, but not quite to that level for me. I mean,
he was caught in the moment.
Yeah. Well, hold on, but it's 5 out of 12
at the moment,
isn't it?
Yeah,
5 out of the maximum of 12. I don't know. So really, well, he didn't rate it that well at all.
Well, this is the real 5-star match that we're about to get on to now. From August the 1st.
Let's fucking go.
Night 12 of the G1, 1st of August at the Fukuoka gym. And the match that birthed the meme. Mox going into this match unbeaten in Block B, as we discussed earlier, and it's none other than Toru Yano. And obviously, usually with Yano, you've seen one of his matches, you've seen them all, but with this one, what makes it really special, not used to seeing Mox do comedy, very rarely, and just seeing him being constantly frustrated by Yano. Mox getting sprayed with water, getting offered 5,000, 10,000 yen, whatever it was, then dueling with ring post protectors. Umino and Mox getting tied together by Yano and having to do some kind of thing to get back in the ring, forcing a count-out win for Yano. Mox back in the ring, looking shocked. I mean, we've all seen the meme by now, looking distraught on his knees, looking like he's having some kind of existential crisis. And 5 stars all the way on this one, Brandon.
It's a great comedy match. Come on. You can't. Wait, you said Moxley never had comedy matches. Remember?
I was about to say the same thing.
Wait, remember we had the gas mask or the pipe play or whatever like that?
Remember when he had a match with James Ellsworth? I'm actually not 100% positive that
good
happened,
comedy matches, I should have said.
Okay. Well, okay. So yeah, that's true. Yeah, good comedy matches.
Yeah, it was a funny match. It was a fun match. I mean, doesn't Yano every once in a while give you like one serious match per G1 or something like that?
No.
Yeah, he has like one good match for G1, doesn't he? That's
and he's pretty good.
I think everyone in the G1 wants to be in the same block as Yano, because it's the guaranteed night off, of the crazy schedule that you're doing. I mean, this man literally like crushed his skull against another man, a few nights prior. He wants to go into a match where he's just having a sword fight with turnbuckle pads for 10 minutes, and then that's it. There's just so many things about this match that I laugh at, and it's like even just things like Yano opens the DVD case, and Well, he tries to give him the DVD, and then Moxley. I can't remember the story, but I think it was Moxley's DVD. Like he'd already given it to him, and he was like, "No, that's mine. You can't give it to me. It's mine already." And he opens it, and it's like 10,000 yen, and of course, that's $100, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty
it'll
sure.
Get you a lot though, right?
That's $100. I mean, I guess. I mean, Moxley turned down that check with how many zeros he doesn't know. But
Martin, how far did 10,000 yen get you in Japan?
Oh, I can't remember. It's a few years ago now. I think you could have probably got 2 Yokozunas at the Riviera Steakhouse, I would have thought.
Your pronunciation of Japanese things is fascinating to me, Martin. That and US city names. I think by the end of the series, we're going to have to put a supercut. Oklahoma, Kraken Hall, and Riviera Steaks. Is that what you said?
Riviera Steakhouse, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, that's fine.
10,000
yen. Chris Leone in the chat says 10,000 yen is currently $64.
Damn.
So there you go, 2 Yokozunas. Yep.
The yen is down, man.
It is. Because I remember at a time, 999 yen was like the same as $9.99, whatever. But
that's like a 1-800 we are 18 type of phone call. $9.99.
Okay. So just Brandon, in the bottom left corner of your screen, it just says everyone can see and hear you. I just want you to periodically look down at that and remind yourself that you are live on YouTube.
Oh, I forgot, dude. I thought we were still going tape to live.
So
my God, I'm gonna get canceled. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I don't care. I just have to do the thing Rich Fan does with WH all the time. The views of Brandon from New Jersey are not reflected on Martin Bushby, Dickie Bird, Chop Tease, and Poison Rana.
There you go. Nice disclaimer there, Dickie.
Should have said that at the start. Actually, we'll put a graphic up every time.
Put like an X up.
I put a parental advisory thing on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rated T for teen.
So I think it is fair to say that these were Mox's 2 best matches from the G1. Like I said, the opener with Tai Chi, even though I'm not a Tai Chi fan, that was pretty good. And then the Shingo match, and then the rest. So they did have that good ongoing story with him tagging with Umino and how he was getting involved in the matches and everything. But these are definitely the best 2. Pretty good G1, not the best, Like we said, we're going to definitely be covering the Umino stuff and the start of their relationship in a future episode. Brandon, do you think that's one and done for Mox in the G1?
Will he do another one in the future? Or are you just are you asking me that in general?
Yeah, just yeah.
Yeah, just the question that he asked you. He's asking you to answer the fucking question.
I mean, if he has nothing going on in the summer, if he's not in an AEW angle.
If he's got nothing going on, do you know anything about Jon Moxley? This is the answer to your question.
No, I don't think he'll be in another G1. I don't think so. I mean, I'll give it like a 12% chance because Jon Moxley's crazy and he's got a lot of stroke in AEW, and he might force their hand. Like, hey, if he really wants to bad enough and he wants to do another G1, then I think he would get his way. But I don't think he's going to do one in anytime soon.
And I think a large part of it's just because he has done it. You know what I mean? And he's kind of that seems like that kind of guy that just. He wants to experience as much as there is to experience, and he's already done it. It came at a perfect time. He was signed with the AEW, but they did not have TV yet. They didn't get TV until October that year. So, I mean, really, he was just scheduled for any pay-per-views that they had, and they didn't even have them monthly at the time. So his schedule was as open as it was ever going to be. And now he's just got too much going on. But yeah, like I said, it's just I think he'd be more interested in doing something else. Now, if maybe they say you've got to be in the G1 this year if you want to headline the Tokyo Dome next year. I know we're talking a bit crazy here, but I'm saying if they give him a hook to maybe be in there, not hook, but a hook. then maybe. But he's just too busy. The man, he's just too busy.
I don't really see anybody in AEW doing the G1 either. Like
they can't. Tony doesn't want someone disappearing, and anyone that maybe can go in the G1, like they're not going to be a big enough. They're not going to be a big enough name.
It's like the Lend-Lease. The Lend-Lease program is benefiting AEW more so than
it'll be some shitty job guy in ROH like Shibata or something. But anyway.
Yeah, Shibata needs to go back to Japan and have his brain cleaned again, doesn't he, or whatever that was.
Vacuumed out, like they take it out and then vacuum the skull and then put it back in.
Yeah, use that same solution that Trump recommended a couple years ago into the skin.
Oh yeah, that one. Injecting bleach up your bum or whatever the fuck that was. Yeah.
Get a turkey baster and put bleach up your ass. Like.
Are we not talking about Trump and solutions? Anyway.
But yeah, and also he was kind of that precipice when New Japan was still good, and then it sort of like had its downswing, sort of like in the pandemic, didn't it? So there was a lot better competition for him to do a G1 in 2019 compared to now as well. So there's maybe not the draw for him anymore.
Maybe Pat Tanaka will do a G1.
Maybe. Why would Pat Tanaka be doing the G1?
Come out to Goldberg's team.
Anyway, so Mox gives up the IWGP US title after this because he couldn't defend it in a rematch against Juice Robinson due to a typhoon in October.
What about an earthquake? What about actually, you know what? I mean, I just tried to make a natural disasters joke, and unfortunately, I mentioned the one other thing that happens in Japan as well, which is earthquakes. So, earthquakes and typhoons.
If you got the third man in the ring, tsunami.
What about Shark Man? What was? Never mind.
I'm not a shark. I'm a man.
So that's it for part one of Mox in Japan. Obviously, tons more to come. His stuff against Suzuki, his time off, and then his matches against Ospreay and the likes, and so tons of good stuff to come from that. But just in conclusion, before we head out of here, any final thoughts on Moxley in Japan? How you would book Bruiser Brody if he was alive? Anything like that, Brandon?
I think this run in Japan is special and unique, and I think it's great stuff, and I've enjoyed it whenever I watch it, and it's fun. It's good stuff that we're probably never going to see again. I don't know whoever comes out of WWE or ever would have the ambition to do this type of run that Moxley did to get to where he's at right now. So it's pretty cool shit that we're going through.
Dickie.
We don't need to see it. We don't need to see it again, Brandon. We're seeing it right now. We're seeing it. This is the point of the show. Like, I mean, apart from reviewing 12 rounds 3, the majority of what we'll be doing is looking at the good stuff. And
Moxley's going back to Japan again, doing that Bushido show.
Total Divas as well. Don't forget.
Total Divas. But I mean, I loved this is okay. So, like, for people who don't know, at the moment, I'm pretty down on just wrestling in general. Just because I don't know, like nothing's firing for me. I think the downswing of New Japan has had a bit more of an effect on me than maybe elsewhere because it's in my time zone. So it's like the one thing that actually is on like at night after my son goes to bed, I can actually, watch live, and I'm not really enjoying that at the moment. So I'm just kind of like, me and Eric we're doing the same. We're on the same level here at the moment. Eric Marcotte and I, we're just going back and we're just watching old stuff. And I watched this stuff today, Martin, that you put to us, and I was just like, this is great. Like, I just want to be back in this time, but I don't have to like go on Twitter and complain and say, what we need to go back or whatever. Just go back. We've all got the award-winning New Japan World. Oh, that is a stretch, but like we'll just relive these things, and then afterwards, done doing John Moxley, we'll do the Kota Ibushi's career up until the point in which he has a G1 match with Okada, G1 finals match with Okada, and separates his shoulder, and that's the end of his career. It's just things like that. Don't worry about what's happening in the future. So look, I loved everything about this. I loved this time. I remember it was a time of my life that was enjoyable, when I could sleep whenever I wanted. It was just wonderful, guys. And I just hope that we, revisit this time. Not too much earlier, because then we will be getting into Gas Mask and Nia Jax territory. But even that, I'm really looking forward to talking about. And it's lovely to be live as well.
That's the comedy stuff that you love, isn't it? So we'll definitely be getting the Pod Plant and the.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Look, if you're gonna be shit, be the shittest you can be. And you know what I mean? Like, nobody likes boring. So like, that's the worst you could be, is boring. This stuff wasn't boring. This was fascinating. But anyway, we're talking about a lot of stuff that we'll be covering in the future. No idea what we're covering next month, but yeah.
Part 2 Japan tour.
No, that'll be way in the future. Actually, do you want to call an audible? You've actually up there, and it's been shouted at in the chat, especially by Chris Leone, who's obviously this must be his favorite film. Shall we do 12 rounds part 3 on the next show? Shall we call an audible and do that on the next show? Why not?
So it's not 15 rounds. It's 12 rounds 3.
Right.
You got to watch 1 and 2 though.
So it doesn't go like Ocean's 11. It's not Ocean's 11 2, is it?
You got to go to hell to get to heaven.
Yeah. So yeah, we're doing that next month. 12 rounds part 3 with John Moxley. Is Becky Lynch and Shawn Michaels in that one as well, or is that another one? Is that round 4? Is that 25 rounds, or what's that one?
I thought that was the Marine.
Oh, is that the Marine? Right.
Marine 30 or whatever it was.
Trapped behind enemy lines as well. When Ken Anderson in that one.
Isn't that a Gene Hackman film?
Yeah, but then they did a second one with Ken Anderson.
Oh, fuck off!
Yeah,
I hate this company.
Yeah.
I hate this company so much.
And then
you're right.
Cynthia Rough Rock movies.
You're right, because then they do like Jingle All the Way 2 as well, or something. And it was a WWE film with Larry the Cable Guy or some bollocks. Oh,
and then Shawn Michaels has that serious movie. What's it?
What, some kind of religious one?
Yeah.
He's not. Shawn Michaels isn't in. What's that? Underground Railroad one. What's that?
Oh my god! And one more thing, guys.
Yeah. The Cry for Freedom, or whatever it's called. Yeah.
The Sound of Freedom. Let me just check
yeah.
Kevin Kelly's Twitter for a second to get the name here. The Sound of Freedom.
That's Chris Leone's favorite movie. He told me.
Oh, is it? Well, apparently it's 12 rounds part 3. Anyway, right. So next month we're going to be doing 12 rounds part 3 with John Moxley. Dean Ambrose even starring in that one. But before we get out of here, obviously thanks to our overlords, Davey and Braden, for allowing us to do this. Obviously we are part of the Poison Rana. And, if, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every extra helps, and like the videos and everything, because they have had a banner, fantastic month. What Up Doe, covering the whole Kendrick and Drake feud. I mean, I was really confused about that because obviously I'm an old man. I just remember when it was Biggie and Tupac sort of like shooting at each other when I was 13 or whatever. But this has all passed me by now, and they did a great job. John Cena always be Detroit as always, and they had special guest Braden and Way on to talk that whole feud, and I was slightly less confused after listening to that podcast. Obviously, as of recording this, Braden just dropped a morning review with Scrump, one of his all-time favorite films, and we had tons more stuff, obviously, on the Patreon and everything else, didn't we, Dickie?
Yeah, the 25th anniversary, I believe, of The Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Yeah. So the podcast with Braden and Scrump, and of course we recently experienced backlash. No, sorry, I don't, and I'm not referring to Brandon and his tweets. I mean, in France. So of course the guys went and did some retro reviews of Backlash, and of course Shot in the Dark every week, and of course new was next, and of course up next on the post wrestling feed, Braden and Davey. So yeah, the content always is flowing, and look, we did it. You did it, Martin. You're here in the 21st century on video live, and you did it all yourself.
I'm so proud of you.
I know you sat there with the spectacles looking at the instruction manual, how to operate StreamYard, but you did it, and it was perfect. And next month, I'm going to have pictures come up of the things that you're talking about, because it would have been good. You could have shown the meme, the John Moxley meme. As I know, but baby steps, baby steps.
I know Waiting's just shaking his head at how unprofessional we are, and he's just mortified.
What he does scares me, so I completely understand you not wanting to do it.
I love your cabinets behind you; they're very nice.
No, I know. I was saying earlier before, because you were late. I was saying earlier that
both of you's got nice cabinets.
I need to jazz all this up a bit, and I know John Pollock got a bit of flack, didn't he, for just having wardrobes behind him or whatever. So I'll have to jazz all this up. Put some Chop Tees t-shirts up, we'll see about getting some interior decorators.
Put a Slam Man
what we
behind
can do. Yeah.
Or the Boss Systems guy behind you.
Yeah. I have actually got some figures over here. I've got remember Brian Wilson, the closer for the San Francisco Giants?
Oh yeah, great beard.
Yeah,
he had a beard like Dickie.
So you have an action figure of a baseball pitcher or
from the San Francisco Giants, great closer.
Okay.
Yeah, fear the beard, Brian Wilson.
Yes.
What a team that was, 2010 Giants. Yeah, Timmy Lincecum. He loved a bit of a smoke, didn't he, old Timmy? And then Matt Cain, all them. Anyway, so Brandon, have you got anything to plug before we get the fuck out of here and put everyone out of
Yeah, I just want to say that I've been in a tailspin all week, and just got out of a relationship, and this really helped me get out of the doldrums and whatnot, and I was just thrilled to do this show today, and the relationship only lasted a week, so I feel great now and feel relieved, and thank you, and I got nothing to plug.
Now, what Brandon's got to plug is we're going to have a fundraiser to get him some light bulbs and some real plates and everything. We'll do that for you. Anyway, Dickie, we had quite a lot of plugs from you at the start, didn't we? But anything else for you out of here?
Yeah. Jeez. Oh, Brandon. So many things I want to say to that, but I'm worried that I'll venture into getting canceled myself territory. Another
40 minutes.
I mean, I said I gave the Chop Tees plug at the start, but do follow on Twitter and Instagram, chopped_tees, or go to the website chop-tees.com/welcome to get 10% off. But you'll get notified with some more stuff that's going to be dropping over the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think, every Friday over the next 3 or 4 weeks. So cool stuff coming. Check that out. Otherwise, me at Dickie Bird Media, as you can see on the screen. And this has been fun. And unless Braden and Davey kind of sit us down and say, hey, look, this live thing with Brandon, it's not a good idea. We'll do this again next month.
We will indeed. So thank you for everyone who joined us there. Appreciate you, keeping the chat going, like Leonie, Chris Elliott, Matt, Frank was in there for a bit. We even had a bit of post wrestling. Jay Salinas, thank you all, everyone, for joining us. And we will be back next month. We'll catch you then, Ambrose. Obviously, all roads lead to Poison Rana at Poison Rana, and we will catch you next month, Ambrose.